coach, Mike McCarthy, on the last year of his deal. Here's what Steven told Sports Illustrated. He's won Super Bowls. He's been to conference championships. Mike knows what it takes to win. He's a darn good football coach. Jerry's one of Mike's biggest fans. It's one of those things where Jerry, his gut is, let's push in our chips and let's go. We all feel it. Let's go win this thing. All right. Brew, do you think McCarthy's on the hot seat?
First of all,
I know.
This quote really sticks in my craw. I mean, like,
are you gonna grade the quote?
I should grade the quote. I mean, he is talking like they had some tremendous offseason. Like they really did go all in. Like the Titans kind of went all in. They went out and signed a bunch of name players and stuff. The Cowboys, we know, didn't do anything. They got worse. You lost, two offensive linemen. You lost Tony Pollard and replaced him with an old Ezekiel Elliott. Your quarterback, I don't know that Dak's disgruntled, but he's not signed, all right? Ceedee Lamb is disgruntled. And now Micah, who knows, he's not going to get signed, so who knows where he'll be at. And I just think that this is such a disingenuous quote. Maybe he means it, but they didn't do anything this offseason to make me think they're all in. So the quote ticks me off. But, yeah, McCarthy's on the hot seat. I mean, Coach, how many coaches have won 12 games the last 3 seasons and wouldn't get a contract extension? I mean, come on. He's done well in the regular season. You hire a new DC, defensive coordinator, and he gets a 1-year deal with Mike Zimmer. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. So, yeah, I think they – part of me wants to say they have to get to the NFC Championship game to save his job, but maybe one playoff win might do it. That might keep him.
The quote where he says Jerry is Mike's biggest fan, that's like the kiss of death. Okay, it's equivalent to the dreaded vote of confidence that you get during the season. So the one time that I got fired as an assistant, the guy told me right before he said he wasn't keeping me, no one's a bigger fan of yours than I am, okay? So that's the absolute kiss of death when they tell you that. And here's what's an absolute truth in the NFL is people believe who you pay, not what you say. They believe who you pay, not what you say. It's the same thing with players. You could say, we believe in this, we believe in that, and then you go pay someone that's totally different than that. That's what you believe in. And it's the same thing here. If they really believed and had a conviction that he's their future, he wouldn't be working off a 1-year contract.
Okay. So is this a Belichick thing waiting in the wings if this doesn't work out?
I don't know if it's a Belichick thing. To me, it's more a function of what happened in the playoffs last year. I mean, it's amazing that Jerry kept him, because I would think that level of disappointment and that big of an upset in the way that they were beaten, badly on offense, badly on defense. I'm shocked that he was able to make it through to this season. And I'm happy for Mike. I'm happy he gets another opportunity to prove his worth to the organization. But I don't know if it's a one-person thing as much as it is we're going to see what he can do, and then we may have to reset the whole clock.
And then quickly, Bruce, you think it's NFC. You have to get to the NFC Championship.
I mean, after Coach brought up that game couldn't have been any more disappointing against the Packers. You're at home. Where they won, 16 straight? 16 straight games, something like that. And the Packers were the youngest team in more than 50 years, I think, to make the playoffs.
You got embarrassed.
Yeah, probably an NFC Championship game.
Is that the same for you, Coach? Or?
I don't know what level it's going to be, but I know whatever that last game is, it can't be an embarrassing loss. If they go into the playoffs and, it's back and forth and it could have gone either way and the team plays well, it can't be what it was last year. But
really, the last few years, it's ended ugly, like strangely.
It couldn't have been uglier than.
No, that was the worst.
No, was ugly as it could.
But like Zeke playing center,
Dak rushing to the line,
like it's ended ugly. Yeah, they've been fairly close games, but they ended ugly.
It's not great. All right, NFC East odds. Philly is in the driver's seat at 1, then the Cowboys, then the frisky Commanders, and then way back at number 4 is the resurgent Daniel Jones, let's say. Brew, we'll start with you. Better bet to win the division, Philly or Dallas? Or you can go off the board.
I don't even know how this is a question. Like, it's got to be Philly. First of all, nobody's repeated as champion in 20 years. And I just talked about what Dallas lost and didn't replace. And I've always felt, as good as Dak is, he's obviously gotten better, but I felt like he needs a strong run game. Like, he's not Patrick Mahomes or that level where he can just put the team on his back. He needs a strong run game, and they don't look like they have it. I mean, I get that there are a lot of really good running backs out there, but I just don't see one in Dallas that's going to get close to 1,000 yards. So I think Dallas obviously lost. And Philly, I mean, Coach, Saquon Barkley has been, you could argue he's been a top 5 back when he's healthy, and he's been a top 5 back with not great quarterback play, not great receivers,
right,
one of the bottom 10 offensive lines every year, where the defense could just focus on him and he still could deliver 1,000 yards. And now they got all these weapons. You're not going to be able to focus on him. One of the best offensive lines in the league, even without Kelsey. And I think he's going to have a great year. And defensively, I thought they had a good draft because the defensive backfield was one of their weaknesses. And you add Quinyon Mitchell and then Cooper DeJean, and then they brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who had led the league in interceptions for them a couple years ago. So I think they improved. And their coach, they are out of, I'm declaring it, they're out of their supernatural funk.
No, why? Why is that?
It's just got to go.
Okay.
It was one of those weird things.
I wish you could just will things to go away like that.
I mean, Coach, I would be stunned if they were still in that funk that they were in. And because they did research, I thought maybe it's Sirianni, and players came out and backed him. And I'm sure they did their homework and was like, if it's him, he's got to go. And they found out he wasn't the reason. At least that's what they think.
It's supernatural.
And in fairness to Dallas, as ugly as the way that they exited last year from the playoffs, Philly's end of the season was ugly.
It was terrible.
I mean, watching that slow decline to where it ended up in a whimper against Tampa Bay, that was terrible. And as you said, Dallas has lost. I think they lost 5 starters, which is the 4th most they've ever lost in franchise history in offseason, 2 of them being starters on the offensive line. You transition the defensive coordinator, the head coach is in a lame duck year, and now you have 3 stars, and all 3 stars are frustrated from a contract perspective. So you've got that issue boiling. And what I appreciate about what Philly did is they needed to upgrade, and so they went and got a pass rusher who has been very effective. Talked about Saquon, so that they did some things in free agency, and then their weakness, like you said, was the secondary, and they went and aggressively addressed that. Then they bring in Vic Fangio, who's been very good over time. He's a former head coach. He's got that perspective. That can help Nick. You adjust some things on the offensive side and go and get Kellen Moore. So they did some things to say, okay, we're in this funk, but we're going to proactively go out and try to address the problems that we had. And I thought they did a good job of effectively doing that.
With all the new offensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, coming in, are we sure this is just going to be seamlessly work all of a sudden that Jalen Hurts has got a new offensive coordinator, defense?
No,
Fangio's brand new.
I don't think it's going to seamlessly work, but when you have what they had defensively, especially in the secondary, and you infuse some youth in there, so you got the youth in the secondary and some youth in defense, you go get a pass rusher that can really help you, and then you get a veteran defensive coordinator with a history of success and head coaching experience. It's not seamless, but it's about as much as you can do to try to address the known problems that you have. Now, how that all takes, and look, what's Sirianni and Jalen Hurts' relationship going to be like?
Not great.
I mean, it hasn't been.
It's not great.
So can Kellen Moore help that along and add some different perspective to the offense?
Tush push happening or no?
I would think so because it's their brand. I just don't know if it's going to be as much as it is. As it was.
I wouldn't think he's doing it.
You're saying zero tush push?
I think they just do it more judiciously. Maybe if you're at the 1 yard line, I don't know if they're doing it for every 4th down.
I thought Kelsey made the whole thing move. This Thursday, Bears-Texans, Caleb Williams says he wants to suit up. Spoiler alert, he's not going to. Take a listen.
I would love to get out there and play. It's pretty awesome to be at Canton. But, it's coach's decision.
You think you'll get a chance to voice your opinion?
I don't know if I'll be able to voice it at this point.
That's the right answer. Eberflus says no starters are going to play. Tyson Bagent will start at QB. So, Coach, you expect Caleb to live up to the hype once we do see him play?
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him play this week, and I don't think it would have been a bad thing for him to get a little bit under, just get a feel for the process, get a series or two. I'm curious why Matt decided to do that.
So is he just scared? Like we talked about with Aaron Rodgers, our coach is just scared. Like if he got hurt, I would get killed.
No, it's just when you have the extra game that everybody else doesn't have. It does give you an opportunity to evaluate part of the roster that maybe you wouldn't be able to evaluate with the normal number of games. So I'm sure that's what Matt's philosophy is let me look at the back end of the roster. Let me try to figure out how those pieces fit. And then as my guys get further along and Caleb's more comfortable, then we'll go ahead and put him in.
Okay.
And you could go either way and not be wrong taking either track. In terms of the hype, my biggest concern with Caleb is the off schedule plays. And in the NFL, everybody's bigger.
Right.
They close quicker. They anticipate better. They hit harder. And as many plays as Caleb made in college, where he's outside of the pocket, he's making something happen, he's extending it, that's great. But these guys, you're going to get hit at a different level and with a different level of frequency. And how many times we have the conversation? He needs to get down. He needs to throw the ball away. And it's every year with these rookie quarterbacks. And hopefully he understands that those plays are great, but they can't be every single time. Every first down isn't worth him getting hit. So that's my concern with Caleb is, can he stay within the system and against his natural tendency to want to go and make plays and put himself at risk too much?
Yeah, I've got similar views on Caleb. Like, I think he'll eventually be a really good quarterback, but I think it's going to be a transition. I think as the season goes on, he'll learn to get down, maybe to stay more in the system instead of going off schedule. And so I'm not saying I see a Jordan Love season where he struggles early and then takes off, but I think he'll get better and we'll start to see the glimpses of, okay, this guy looks like he's going to be a great quarterback in the second half of the season. So I don't think he can live up to the hype because the hype is through the roof. Like Nick and other people are considering picking them to go to the Super Bowl.
He was on Mahomes' mountain before he was drafted.
Right, there you go. I mean, no rookie quarterbacks ever led a team to the Super Bowl. So the hype is that, at least in some quarters, that he's going to do something no one's ever done. And so if he doesn't do something Marino and Mahomes and all these guys never did, then he won't technically live up to the hype. And I think the other thing is the C.J. Stroud factor. Because C.J. Stroud was so good last year that I think some people are thinking, you know, they're going to compare Caleb to C.J. And if he doesn't play as well as C.J., well, why not? And you've heard everybody say you haven't seen a top pick come into a better situation than this. So we saw CJ play with one of the worst teams we thought was going to be one of the worst teams in the league, rookie coach, and he leads them to a playoff win. And Caleb's going to a situation where they look like they got a pretty good team. And so people are going to be expecting him to do at least what CJ did. And I don't think he will because most guys don't. Like CJ's an aberration. Trevor Lawrence still hasn't had a great year. Kyler Murray, all these guys that were ballyhooed and hyped out of college and have shown some stuff, but have not lived up to the hype.
But don't you think, Brew, if he's able to compete in that division and they potentially win that division, even, you know, and maybe it's not even win the division, but get close
into the
playoffs. Chicago hasn't been good for a long time, and now you've got the resurgence in Green Bay. You've got the resurgence in Detroit.
Right.
If he's able to lead them to a really successful season and ideally get into the playoffs, there's a lot of people in Chicago who haven't experienced winning. I think
if he gets in the playoffs, I think that'll be good. I mean, it won't technically be the hype because some people are saying Super Bowl, but that would be a really good season. But are 3 teams coming out of that division for the playoffs? That's like the toughest division in the NFC.
Yeah, I don't think 3 teams are coming out of it, and don't know where Green Bay really is. I mean, they got hot late, but is that the team we're going to see at the start of this season, or is it going to be the team we saw last year through the majority of the season? They're 6-8 going in the final 3 games.
Quickly, Coach, if I'm Caleb Williams, and you're a defensive coordinator. You throw some either exotic blitz at me or some coverage that confuses me once I get the ball. I realize, like, you tricked me, you got me. Now I've got the ball. I think if I can extend this play a little bit, I can get my guys open. Are you saying I shouldn't do that? I should just kind of eat it, throw the ball away, just self-sack? How is that actually supposed to play out?
One of the things that Tom Brady did and Peyton Manning did very well is understand when it just wasn't worth the hit for a 3-yard completion. So there's times where a guy's going to come clean because you're in the wrong protection or someone blows a pickup or whatever the case may be. And you can try to escape that guy and run out of the pocket and make a play. Or you can figure, all right, it's first down, I'm going to throw the ball away. It's 2nd and 10. It's not what we want it to be. But that's a lot better than it being 2nd and 15, 2nd and 20, or he picks up 2 or 3 yards and gets lit up for it. So you've got to do the risk reward on 3rd down. That's a little bit different story. In the red zone, that can be a little bit different story. 2-minute, there's situational things where you can take more chances. But on a traditional first down or 2nd down, you may just need to throw the ball away and live to fight.